And does the paratroopers' training pay off? Every man and every piece of equipment landed safely. Because the whole idea of the JCOC program is to put us as close to the real thing as possible, our next stop was at the Paratroop Training Jump Tower. Of course, this wasn't the same as jumping out of a plane, not by a long shot, but it was close enough to the real thing for me at my age, making me some kind of 1/4 qualified paratrooper. I even got a certificate, something I can use to show the kids what a brave dad they have. When chow time rolled around, we were escorted by men attending the Infantry Officers Candidate School. And as we sat and had a bite to eat and talked informally, we found out what splendid men these potential officers are. We were genuinely proud to have met them. Following lunch, we once more took our places in the grandstand for a look at some of the Army's latest equipment. Just for comparison's sake, they showed us the traditional but time-worn Army mule, a hero in many a campaign. And then we were introduced to the new mule, a machine whose capabilities are putting the old mule out to pasture. Then one by one, much of the new Army's modern equipment was displayed in action. Astounding mobility and firepower of the weapons shown explained why the modernized infantry division has become such a tremendously hard-hitting force. Then we noticed a special flag being raised. An ominous silence descended, broken only by the sound of heavy tanks moving into position. The seconds ticked by as we waited for something unusual to break. Then suddenly, finally, as suddenly as it had started, the massed firepower of the Mad Minute was over. We went for a closer look at the weapons. Some of the weapons were familiar, others strange, and needing an explanation, even to other former infantrymen like myself. For old time's sake, under strict supervision, they even let us take a few practice bursts. When the time came to break up and go our separate ways to all 48 states, we felt close to each other, of course, but more important, closer to our country. It had been only 8 days since I left my family to go on the tour, but they'd been eventful days. And in looking back, days of tremendous importance to me. In rejoining my family, in thinking of them in terms of their future and our country's, the purpose of the JCOC program was driven home to me forcefully. And as might be expected, what I had seen and heard and learned was too good to keep entirely to myself. When my fellow club members heard of my experiences, I was invited to give a short report. I spoke of our defense establishment in terms of an investment in the future of not only us, but of our children and of generations to follow. I spoke of my belief that the matter of defense is one of great personal interest to me, to my neighbor, to all of us. it is something demanding more than taxes. It calls for a personal responsibility in keeping informed of how the Defense Department operates, how it serves our best interests. Unless behind our Defense Department stands a well-informed nation, a nation prepared to perform its obligations intelligently, it will not be enough that servicemen and their weapons be ready to fight. How well the Department of Defense performs its task of safeguarding the peace and rights of free nations, how well, in the words of the Constitution, the Department of Defense provides for the common defense of this country and of the free world depends upon the public support it receives from you and from me, from the citizens of all America.
During the past 10 years, more than 1,500 representative American citizens have been given an inside look at our Defense Department through the JCOC program. Such conferences are further evidence of the fact that under the Constitution in our democracy, the civilians actually do govern our military establishment. Now, this is Sergeant Stuart Queen, inviting you to join us again next week for another look at your Army in action on The Big Picture.
The Big Picture is an official television report for the armed forces and the American people. Produced by the Army Pictorial Center. Presented by the United States Army in cooperation with this station.